Coming up on Cronkite News, it's been 100 days since Governor Katie Hobbs took office. We look at what she considers to be some of her biggest successes.
Plus, as drought conditions in the West continue, more water cuts are headed to the Colorado River. We break down the proposals and their potential impacts on Arizona.
And later, Arizona State baseball is on a roll, and we'll have all of the action from last night's massive comeback win over a Valley foe.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Melissa Munoz.
And I'm Dylan Nichols. Thank you for joining us.
Today marks Governor Katie Hobbs' 100th day in office. As the first Democrat in the governor's office since 2009, Hobbs has had to pick her battles.
Today, the governor hosted a press conference at the Arizona State Capitol to talk about the legislation she considers a success in her first months in office. Yuri Hahn reports the governor highlighted not only her victories, but also areas she still hopes to work on with the legislature.
Both the Arizona House and the Senate are controlled by Republicans, so Governor Katie Hobbs has to work extra hard to get any legislation passed. Today, she highlighted some of the bills that have already passed so far in the session, including one that's building a housing trust fund for the homeless.
Now, I've also had to use my veto pen a lot already.
Governor Katie Hobbs has vetoed close to 40 bills this year, inching closer to breaking a record of bills vetoed by any governor in Arizona history. She says the reason for all the vetoes is to stop what she calls conspiracy theories and out-of-touch legislation.
I've chosen to keep my focus on the issues Arizonans told me they wanted their next governor to prioritize. I've signed more than 40 bills into law that passed the legislature with bipartisan support.
Mayor John Giles of Mesa said Hobbs has helped protect local controls that help cities and towns chart their own course.
When local services and public safety funds were at risk, she used her veto stamp to ensure cities and towns like Mesa will be able to continue to meet the needs of our residents.
Another priority for Hobbs is the growing use of fentanyl. And while she vetoed a bill that would penalize those selling the drug, she has hopes for a more comprehensive work on the illicit drug.
What I would like to see is a more narrow solution that focuses specifically on the manufacturer of fentanyl rather than has the potential to criminalize substance abuse, folks with substance abuse disorder.
Governor Hobbs also talked about success on issues related to water, reproductive rights, corrections reforms, and infrastructure. However, when she was asked on what specific items she was working on with Republicans for the budget, she didn't comment. For now, reporting live in Phoenix, Yuri Hahn, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Yuri. Happening just down the street, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego delivered her annual State of the City address.
Cronkite News reporter Connor McGill has the latest on her promises and visions for the city.
Year's theme was "The Future is Phoenix" and highlighted what the city is doing to keep going in a forward direction. Now the mayor talked about what her administration has done to make it all happen.
Today, I'm excited to share with you how, inspired and energized by our past, we are capitalizing on opportunities to usher in a better future, a future that is Phoenix.
The mayor announced today in her speech the up-and-coming Phoenix Medical Corridor. The corridor will be a global center for advancement of health and education. The facility will house clinicians and scientists working on the cutting edge of regenerative neuroscience, robotics, and other next-generation technologies. Also highlighted was the 100 miles of cold pavement the city will soon reach. The pavement helps reduce surface temperatures and keeps streets cool. The mayor also addressed homelessness, mentioning the city's commitment to provide more than 7,000 housing vouchers and manage more than 5,000 affordable housing units.
Homelessness is not unique to Phoenix. More than 500,000 individuals are experiencing homelessness in America. What is unique to Phoenix is that our city is putting every solution on the table to lift people out of homelessness.
Saying, and quote, "Regardless of what the future may hold, Phoenix is going to be a city to watch." Reporting from downtown Phoenix, Connor McGill, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Connor. The head of Mexico's National Immigration Institute is expected to be charged after a fire at a detention center that killed 40 people. The Attorney General's office in Mexico announced that criminal charges would be filed against Francisco Garduño, though it's not exactly clear what specific charges he's facing.
The fire broke out at the detention center last month in Ciudad Juarez, just opposite El Paso. 2 guards were reportedly spotted on security camera leaving the detention center without unlocking the doors. 6 other people are already facing homicide charges. President Biden has granted a disaster declaration for the Navajo Nation after massive flooding earlier this year. The declaration means money for the Navajo Nation, which is spread out across Arizona, Utah, and Mexico. The aid will also be available to some nonprofit organizations as well.
The money is aimed at repairing facilities that were damaged by the flooding, which was caused by several severe storms in January of this year.
Arizona, Nevada, and California could soon see significant changes to how much water they can take from the Colorado River.
The Department of Interior proposed 3 different plans this week to help mitigate the river's drought. Cronkite News reporter Atria Mineshi is here to tell us how this proposal is to also call to action.
The department says that if the basin states can't reach a unanimous decision on cutting back their water intake, then the department will just have to make that decision for them. Here's how the Colorado River water allocation works. The Colorado River supplies 40 million people with water yearly. 7 states get their water from the Colorado River, but these proposed plans would affect Arizona, California, and Nevada the most. These 3 states are known as the lower basin states. Here's a breakdown of the Department of Interior's proposals. The proposal starts with a no-action alternative plan, which means to leave everything as is and allocations as it stands. Action Alternative 1 would make the water cuts be based on a priority water rights. So what does that mean? California is the senior state. It draws about 4.4 million acre-feet of water from the river annually, and they've been pulling water the longest. Arizona is the junior state and uses 2.8 million acre-feet of water annually. This plan would benefit California and hurt Arizona the most because about 36% of Arizona's water supply comes from the Colorado River. Farmers could also see a gap in water as about 72% of the state's water usage comes from agriculture. Action Alternative 2 would equally cut water intake based on a set percentage. This plan would hurt California the most as it's bound to face steeper cuts. These plans are due to the fact that only 6 of the 7 states reached an agreement to cut back on using the river's water in January. California was the lone holdout. Now, the federal government has no choice but to get involved. There's no final decision yet, and members of the public, water leaders, and tribal officials can comment on this matter through the end of May. These 2 proposed plans would bring at least 2 million acre-feet of cuts in 2024. At the Google touchscreen, Atria Mineshi, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Atria. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris held a task force meeting on reproductive rights at the White House. The Biden administration is set to propose a new rule aimed at protecting the privacy of women seeking abortion. Under the new rule, all regulated entities like health insurance companies and medical providers would be banned from sharing a patient's private information. The rule specifically bans the entities from helping an investigation against a person who either seeks, obtains, or provides reproductive services. This clarifies current guidance that some said was unclear, especially when it came to court orders.
This comes as new CDC data shows that fewer American women are getting pregnant. The new numbers show the U.S. pregnancy rate fell over the past decade. In 2019, 5.5 million women were pregnant, down from just over 6 million in 2010. Unexpected pregnancies also fell during this time frame, as did abortions. But the report also shows that pregnancy loss became more common. In 2019, 1 out of every 5 pregnancies resulted in a miscarriage, stillbirth, or fatal death.
A health organization and the Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired are working to create a center that will help underserved communities. Cronkite News reporter Ryan Tismaneski tells us how.
At any race, there's a starting line. You want everybody lined up at that starting line, right? Once the gun goes off, some people run faster, some people run slower. That's life.
That starting line being healthcare equity. But as Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired Executive Director Steve Tepper says, some can't even reach the starting line. One of the latest efforts to get everybody to the starting line is a partnership with Teros Health to create the Roosevelt Health Center.
This neighborhood lives in a pharmacy desert, lives in a food desert. There is no primary, well, Valleywise is down the street. There is no primary care in this neighborhood. There's urgent care and an emergency room. And this neighborhood deserves the same access and the same equity that our clients do. And that's what has me so excited about this project.
The Roosevelt Health Center will provide primary care, treatment for mental health and substance abuse, and supportive services.
Partnering with Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, we really get to kind of enter into another population that we haven't dealt with before.
Taros Health, which has been in the Valley since 1969, makes it their goal to serve underserved communities.
As a federally qualified healthcare center, we accept patients who don't have any insurance, they are unable to pay, right, for healthcare services, and we provide healthcare for them.
The Roosevelt Health Center is slated to open this summer. In Phoenix, Ryan Tismaneski, Cronkite News.
Coming up on Cronkite News, inflation is still impacting everyone's wallets. But a new report shows inflation is continuing to cool down as the Fed warns of a possible recession.
Plus, archaeologists in Mexico uncover a scoreboard buried for over 1,000 years, and they think they know what game it was used for.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Taking a look outside now from the webcam on the top of City Hall in downtown. It was another hot one out there today in the Valley with temps reaching the 90s once again. But you can see those clouds and a light breeze kept things bearable. We want to check in now on our forecast.
Spencer Chihawk joins us from the Cronkite News Weather Center. Spencer, how is the rest of the week looking?
Well, guys, feel free to say TTYL for now to the 90 degrees, but it will be coming back with a vengeance. We'll get a look into that in a little bit. But first, at the rest of today and tomorrow, things will be cooling off tonight, going into the upper 70s by 10 o'clock tonight. A great time to spend some time outside, maybe eat dinner outdoors and just have a good night overall. When you wake up in the morning, though, it might feel like a different planet out there. It'll be 57 degrees in Phoenix, a cool morning. 50 degrees down in Tucson and just below freezing in Flagstaff at 31 degrees. Now, I want you to take a look at Safford here, 48 degrees. It's high for tomorrow, having the greatest change, 35 degrees change in Safford, 83 overall. Phoenix hitting 82, Tucson 83, Flagstaff 54 degrees. It's going to be a lot nicer out, an 11-degree difference between today and tomorrow. Now, because of that, though, be prepared. Pollen's still very high, so get your nose spray ready. Maybe drink some honey and just try to bear what will be a very rough week for allergies. And like the flowers blooming, just because the sun's going to be nicer out doesn't mean that the sun's going to be any less bright. It's going to be a very dangerous time for sunburns. Wear your sunblock, stay indoors when you need to, but also make sure to enjoy this great weather. Looking at the rest of the week, hitting all the way into the upper 70s by Friday before heating back up going into the rest of next week. I'm Spencer Chihawk, and this has been your Cronkite Weather Report.
Looking now at Wall Street, stocks finishing a roller coaster type of day. In the end, the Dow finished down 38 points. Investors like the latest inflation report, but were scared by news out of the Federal Reserve. That new inflation report released just this morning showed that prices dropped again in March, marking the 9th month in a row that inflation has fallen. Inflation is now at the lowest levels we've seen since May. Now prices are still high and technically still increasing, but the economics expected much worse. Prices are currently 5% higher than they were this time again last year. Meanwhile, the Fed minutes released today show that the central bank believes the U.S. will be in a recession by the end of the year thanks to the recent banking system turmoil.
Now to an incredible discovery made by archaeologists in Mexico, where researchers uncovered a 1,000-year-old Mayan scoreboard. Experts believe it was used in an ancient game similar to soccer. Archaeologists made the find at the famed Mayan Chichen Itza site in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The scoreboard is in the shape of a circular stone and weighs nearly 100 pounds. On the stone, you can see two players standing next to a ball. The archaeologists think that the stone dates between 800 and 900 AD.
I'm Sammy Miller. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. The Arizona Cardinals are rolling with off-season workouts, but one star in particular was absent from strength and conditioning.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News. Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Now on Passport.
What are you looking for in your life?
There's an important story that needs to be told.
Is it a sense of your own destiny?
Choose your story.
Try to help create change in some way.
It's a beautiful thing. Not very many people get to see.
Once you come into the neighborhood, you are a part of the family.
You can be a good person or a bad person. It's your choice.
Stop complaining and go actually do something.
Now you can stream even more documentaries with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Sammy Miller. Newly ranked Sun Devil baseball won an improbable midweek affair against crosstown rival Grand Canyon last night, 13-10. Matt Venezia was at the campus of GCU and tells us how the Sun Devils were able to do it.
Arizona State baseball tied its largest come-from-behind victory in the Willie Bloomquist era, erasing a 9-2 deficit in the top of the 8th inning on the road at Grand Canyon last night. 10 of the runs ASU scored came from the bats of freshman hitters, including 5 from true freshman shortstop Luke Hill.
I think it shows I'm ready to go. I've always believed that. All my teammates believe it. It's kind of starting to show out a little bit, having those moments, and I'm not the only one new. New's been a huge part, same thing. So it kind of gets us going that these freshmen are coming up ready to play in those big moments too. So.
Only 2 days removed from the program receiving its first national ranking under Bloomquist, and the first since 2020, the Sun Devils looked out of it through the game's first 6 innings. The combination of GCU plating 7 lopes in the first 4 innings and poor at-bats from the Sun Devil hitters had all of Brazil Field at GCU Park thinking the Sun Devil crosstown rival was in line to pull off the upset.
Positive side of it is that you're never out of a game, and these guys, they know better than to cash it in. They're going to keep battling and keep fighting no matter what, and good things happen when you string together good at-bats.
ASU's record improves to 24-9 overall, and with a much more difficult back half of conference play, scares like last night can't happen if the Sun Devils want to make a deep postseason run. In Phoenix, Matt Venezia, Cronkite News.
The Suns' 2023 playoff run will soon be underway, and game times for the first 4 games of the series were just announced. Games 1 and 2 against the Clippers at Footprint Center will tip off at 5 and 7 p.m. respectively. Tickets for the first 2 games at Footprint Center went on sale earlier this week. The Suns and Clippers enter the playoffs as the 4th and 5th seeds. The two teams split their season series 2-2 during the regular season. It will be the second playoff series between the two squads in the past 3 seasons. In 2021, the Suns defeated the Clippers in 6 games during the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, definitely excited. You know, it's a great part of the year. Every basketball fan in the world is going to be tuned in, so just excited. And feel, you know, free just from all the stuff you worked on all year. You prepared for this time, so just go out there and play.
In college football, spring practices serve as a vehicle to showcase new talent that teams bring in. For the Sun Devils, one of those standouts is wide receiver Xavier Guillory. I had the chance to catch up with Guillory and the team ahead of this weekend's spring game. Check it out. The transfer portal has the power to grant players another opportunity to compete at the highest level, one being Idaho State transfer Xavier Guillory. He always dreamed about playing at a Power 5 school, and now that he earned a spot, there is no looking back.
I love the transition, competing against these athletes. I always knew I could play here. I never really got the opportunity at a high school, but I kind of tried to prove myself. And now I'm here. I'm trying to. I got a big chip on my shoulder and trying to show the world that I can play some ball.
Guillory hasn't even played his first game in the maroon and gold, yet he has already turned heads as one of the biggest standouts in spring ball. Head coach Kenny Dillingham has been extremely impressed with not only his fundamentals, but his work ethic.
He's fast, he works, and he works, and he works, and he works, and then he works some more. That's what I like about him. He's athletic, he's talented, but that dude was up here the other night. I'm leaving the office, and he's up here because he wants to catch jugs on his own, and that's what separates people.
Guillory's drive and motivation stems from the struggles he has gone through in his life, especially with the passing of his father.
It means a lot for me to be here just because growing up, that's me and him always envision ourselves being at this level. And he trained with me since I was young, and so it means a lot just to not have him here, just extra motivation to really just do the best I can and make him proud. I know I made him proud.
Most transfers walk onto their new field, look around, and don't see any familiar faces. Well, that wasn't the case for Xavier Guillory. When he looks to the sidelines, he sees his former Idaho State head coach, Charlie Regal, and that relationship has developed over the years and goes far beyond just the game of football.
He and I share that same bond of losing our fathers at a very young age, you know, similar ages, and so I can relate to that, but I've just seen so much growth, and I think that's really the maturity, understanding what his role is, why he's here at Arizona State, and his goals.
Guillory looks to continue to take advantage of this huge opportunity and make his father proud by living out their dreams. As ASU spring ball wraps up, the Arizona Cardinals are getting started with the team's off-season program. Yesterday marked the first day of strength and conditioning for the Cardinals, and stars like James Conner and Marquise Brown were all present. However, star receiver DeAndre Hopkins was not in Tempe yesterday. Rumors have circulated about a potential Hopkins trade looming this offseason, and the star wideout posted on his social media that he was in Houston for his own workout. This is not all that uncommon, though, for a veteran player, but the absence only magnifies the uncertainty surrounding his future in Arizona. Well, that's it for the Cronkite Sports Report. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thank you, Sammy. Coming up on Cronkite News, it's always hard to find the right words to say when writing your wedding vows. But what about having artificial intelligence write them for you? One bride tried it out, and we'll tell you exactly how it went coming up next.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience. Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
People have been using an AI for a lot of creative things lately, but what does one bride causing a lot of buzz on social media?
Elise Nguyen used ChatGPT to help write her own wedding vows. She said she did it at first as a joke and that the output was pretty cheesy, but the basics of what she wanted to say was all there.
Of course, she made a few edits and added some personal touches, but when she finally stood in front of the altar, part of the vows she delivered were written by artificial intelligence. Nguyen says using the program helped relieve some stress, and she wants everyone to know her husband was on board with it. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.